Welcome to Tech Brothers with Damer. Today we are going to learn a scenario in which we have one folder in which everybody puts or inserts their files for loading process. There are customer files, those start with customer underscore date underscore time. There are sales files which start sales underscore date and time. Maybe there is time is missing, and in my scenario I did not put the time, but anyways they have different names. So there are customer, there are sales file, and there could be other files as well. We want to create an SSIS package that can run at the end of the day or maybe multiple times in a day and zip those files according to the names. So it should create a customer underscore date dot zip file, and that all those customer file what we have in the folder, they should be compressed and put into that zip file. Same goes for the sales, so there should be sales underscore date dot zip file should be created, and these files should be added to that zip file. Now let me show you how it look like. So here I have finance underscore date, customer underscore date, this is Excel file, and here I have a sales underscore date.txt file, and I have customer files as well. So there are 3 customer files, one of them is Excel, and there are 2 of them they are text files. We have sales and finance, there are only single files, and they are text type. Now what we want to create, we want to create a customer underscore date, whatever the date is today, and dot zip file, and these 3 files should be added to that zip file. The same way we will have sale and zip files, and these files should be added to them. And if we rerun the package again in the same day, these if the file zip file already exists, any file should be added to it, and if not, it should create a new file and add those files to it. Now let me go back to the original slide, and here we will be learning SSIS package parameters because we use them in configuration. We will be using Foreach Loop Container because we want to loop through the files and we want to zip them in one of the zip file we will create according to the name. Then we will be using script task, and inside the script task we will be changing the .NET framework from 4 to 4.5, and then we will be adding some assemblies such as system.io.compression and system.io.compression.FileSystem. The last point is, okay, if the zip file already exists, don't do that, don't do anything for same day. So if it does exist, just add the files to it, and if it does not exist for the same day, create a new one and add the files to it. So let's go and create a package. Now open your bids or SSDT SQL Server Data Tools and click here on the SSIS packages, new SSIS package. And in my case I'm using SSIS 2012, so I can go ahead and create the parameters. But if you are using an old version such as SSIS 2008 and 2005, you will not be able to create the parameter. So you go ahead and create the variables with the same name what I'm doing. So in my case parameters, in your case if you are using old version, then you will be creating the variables. So we have input folder, that's one of the parameter, and here we will provide the path. Let's take this path, provide the path, go back here. Next we want to archive them, so we want to archive in the archive folder, right? So let's provide that path as well. Archive folder, let's go to archive folder, get the path, copy, paste it here. Now we have input folder and archive folder. Next part, we want to read the files, so we can use this input parameter and then using the Foreach Loop Container to loop through and get the file names. So use Foreach Loop Container, and here you will be using collection for each file enumerator, and then we will be using some expressions here. Go ahead and select the directory. In the expressions we'll be using input folder, hit OK, hit OK. Now here we will be reading the file name and extension, and we will be reading all type of files. So asterisk dot asterisk means any file with any name and any extension. So right on the right side, this asterisk tells us any type, on the left side asterisk tells us any name of that file. So we want to read all those files. You can go ahead, and if you want to read the files from the subfolders, you can do that as well, but in my case the files are in the main folder, so I'm going to read all of them from the main folder with name and extension. Go to variable variable mapping, new variable, file name. So we created a variable called file name. Hit OK. Now we are all good. We are reading the file. Next part, what we want to do, we want to create expression so we can build a zip file path. So how I want to do it, I will be using the file name variable and then using the archive path. So let me provide some value. I'm going to provide some value, maybe any value. I can take any value from here. Let's say if I go to the input folder. Why I'm providing the value? Because I need to write some expressions, and if I will provide some value, I can check if my expressions are evaluated true or not. So let's go back here, add a variable and call it zip file. Okay, now what we have here, select the data type string and come here in the expressions. I want to build expressions for zip file, so I will be using archive path, and then I have to add the file name. But from the file name I want to get only the sales underscore part, and then I want to add the actual date of today, and then I have to add zip at the end. So how I can do it, file names can be lengthy. Some cases here we have 5 characters, maybe in the customers we have different characters, and finance there is a different length of characters, so they are not static. But one thing is confirm, any name ends with the underscore, so that's a good thing. So we can read the first part before the underscore, and that will work for us. So in your case, if that's not true, maybe there will be different logic. You will be selecting or finding out the file or extracting the file name or file types here. In this case, these are all sale files. So now I'm gonna go ahead and use substring. In this substring, what we can provide the very first character. Okay, we will provide the value, and then we will tell what we want to read out of it. So the very first means I want to start from the first character, so I want to read the very first character, and then I have to tell the end character. Here I have no idea where it will end up. In customer case it will be different, right? So I can use a function called find string, and inside the find string I will use file name, and I'm looking for comma, double quotes and underscore, and double quotes, and then I put a comma and then put 1. So I'm looking for index or position of this underscore, and very first time it is happening from the left to right, so it will give me that position. So I'm starting with the 1, and then if I find string will return me the position here, so I will be able to use it and then use in the substring, and it will return me only sales part of it, and it will remove the other part. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we made some error. Okay, so we have find string here, and it tells us, okay, we use a find string comma, this is what we are finding, and then we have comma here. Okay, so another parenthesis has to be there because we started with substring, and here we did not put that one, so that was the error. Now what we see here, it returned us sales underscore. Next part, we need to add the date part to it, so we'll be saying plus, and then say get date is a function that we can use, but there is a problem with the get date. Get date is the returning us the date time, and this is a string value, so it will fail if we run it. So we have to cast it. So dt underscore wstr, that's the nvarchar and 30 characters. So let's see if it is converted. So now we see the date and time part to it. Now I'm interested only to read the date part. I don't care about the time, so I'm going to use the substring as well here, substring, and I want to start from the first character. So and then I want to read the only 10 characters, so this will be covered. So 10 characters are the only date part. So we see now we have the date here, and I want to remove the hyphen and put underscore. So I'm going to go ahead and say replace here, and then comma, double quotes, hyphen, double quotes, comma, double quotes, underscore, double quotes, and then parenthesis close. So I'm replacing a hyphen with the underscore. So all good. The last part is left. We will be adding a .zip. So extension is added. All good. So this folder, this zip file will be created, and then we will add those other files. Anything that has a sales that will be added to it. Okay, all good. Hit OK. Now we'll bring the script task here, and inside the script task we are going to use the zip file as well as the input folder parameter. Now open the script task, and here select those variables or package parameters that we need to use inside it. I know we will be using maybe file name inside in expressions, and zip file for sure we need to use it, and then we will be using input folder because that's where the file does exist, all of them, and we will be concatenating input folder plus file name. We can do it here as well, but I want to do it in the script. So and here I don't think so I need archive folder and folder package parameter anymore, because I have used in the zip file expressions and I have completed the entire zip file path. So by using the expression I have built that path, so I'm okay with that. Okay, here I'm using Visual C#. You can go ahead and change it if you like. You can use the Visual Basic. In my case I'm fine with that. Now edit script. It's going to take a little while. So inside the script, go to solution and then go to properties, and you would see that targeting framework .NET framework 4. So we need to use 4.5. Why? Because those namespaces system.io.compression and system.io.compression.FileSystem is only available in .NET framework 4.5. so that's why, and it is opening and closing fine with me. Now we need to add those to reference, and we will be adding those assemblies here. So we are targeting .NET framework 4.5 now, and here I will be adding those assemblies. Hit OK. We are all good here. Close this part, and now we need to write our code here in the main. I don't want to write it all the way. I did for a couple of videos, but it take a lot. I have copy and pasted here. I have written the code already. I'm going to copy and paste and then walk you through the code. So let me see right here. Now you see all these red underscore after the different methods and classes and whatever. So we need to add some classes or namespaces here. So I am going to add those namespaces, and here we'll be using system.io.compression. that will take care of the zip functions and classes, and the rest of that is file. So we will see file is as we are also doing some operation with the file system such as folders and files. So we will be using system.io class namespace, and then we will use different classes of that. Here let's take a look on this one. So I have local variables. Why I create a local variable? Because I can use anywhere and I don't have to use or write the entire thing again and again. So once I'm creating here string zip file, so it is equal to user zip file. Remember we wrote expression to build that zip file that has our name, like such as sales or customer, and underscore date, today's date, and .zip. So I'm just putting that value here in the local variable, and then I have file name, so it is coming from the user variable as well that we have created in the Foreach Loop Container. If you guys remember, and that will be changing for each of the file when for each loop is going to loop through those files one by one. And the next part is input file path. So that's a local variable that is equal to $package. That's how you will use the package parameter. So you will say dts.variable, still the same way you say for the variables, but here when you need to use a package parameter, you will say $package, and then you have a provide the parameter name. If you have project, you will say $project. .value.string. So input folder, we have the input folder path plus the file name, so that is file name plus extension. Now these three local variables are ready. We can go ahead and start using them. First of all, what I'm saying, if zip file already exists, maybe somebody ran this package in morning and it did create the zip file for that sales maybe, or for customer, or finance. So if the file does exist, we don't need to create it again. So what we need to do, we need to add the file to it. So we'll say use the class system.io compression.zip archive. So we have created the instance of that, and then we'll say .zipfile.open zip file. That's the path of that zip file if it is already existing, and then we'll say update. So we want to update that zip file, and then here we will say add file dot create entry from file. So you see that here we will be using create entry from file, and that method will use the input of file path, and then here you will be providing the name of the file that you want to have inside the zip file. In my case, I want to have exact same name, so I am keeping this one as it is, and here is our input file path. That's a complete path of the input file. And once the file is added to the zip file, then we want to delete. So we say file dot delete and input file path, so the file will be deleted. Now next part, if the zip file does not exist, and we ran the package the very first time today, and what happened, then zip file does not exist, we need to go ahead and create that zip file. So we say var file stream, and then we say new, and file stream zip file, and the file mode dot create. So and then we'll close it. So by using this code, we will be creating the zip file. We already know that zip file is the complete path of that zip file. We have sales underscore date or customer underscore date, and we have created this one by using the expressions. So we'll create that zip file. Next part is exactly the code we use up here, and this will be adding the file to the zip file and then deleting the file itself. So that's all we have. So if file does exist, fine, just add the file to the zip file. If does not exist, create the zip file and then add those files. So go ahead, save it, build it, fine, close it, and hit OK. Now go back to the folder structure, and here what we see in the input folder, we have finance, customer, and sales. So there are three different names what we have in this case in the input folder. If we run the package, it should create three zip files here in the archive folder, and then move those files to it. Let's go ahead and create it. Now the package completes successfully. That's good news. And we need to go and see, if we go to the archive folder, we see that there are three zip files are created, and they're customer underscore today's date, finance underscore today's date, and sales underscore today's date. If we open the sales, we'll see only one file. If we open the customer, we'll see three files sitting right here. So that's great. Now if we go to the input folder, we should not see any file, and that's great because we wanted to delete those files after we have added them to the zip file. Now let me do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and create one more file here. In this case, I will say test underscore, and I just put some date, random date, doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and create one more file for customer. and then say 2 3, whatever the date even is, it doesn't really matter, even it is wrong. Right now, if I will go ahead and run the package, what should happen? This customer file should be added to the customer zip because the zip file already exists, but for the test, for the test, a new zip file should be created, test_today'sdate.zip, and this file should be added to it. So let's go ahead and run the package and take a look. Package completed successfully, and then let's go back. Input folder, the files are deleted. Now we go to the archive folder, and this, you can see that the test zip file is created. If we open it, there is a file added to it as well. If we go to the customer, now it should have 4 files. So this one is the random file we just created with the incorrect date, so that's added as well as the file was existing. So now this package can be used in different places. You can have maybe a data flow task here where you are loading all different files, you know, and then they will be archiving or you will be zipping them by using this existing code what we have seen in this video. There are some certain I will say maybe in the expressions, the way I have written the expression, my file names were kind of standard, the name of the file, and then you have underscore and the date. In your case, there could be possibilities you will have different file names, and you have to write a little more complex expression to create those different expression. You will be writing complex expression to extract the file names from the file names and maybe create those zip files. So that's I would say this is a good start. You can go ahead and perform this demo by yourself, and you will learn a lot of things in that. And there are other videos I made on the zip and uncompress, and you can go ahead and watch those videos. And if you will just watch all of those videos, you will get expert, and you can deal with any of the scenario where you want to load the file, zip the file, individual or multiple, and then drop them or delete them. Those videos are there. There are videos there that's where you have different zip files sitting there, and you want to read only the file names and put into the table. So you can go ahead and watch that video. And I just create random videos, but I always go ahead and whatever comes in my mind, I create those videos which are really needed, and I have somewhere in my project or work I have encountered those issues, and I just kept thinking about it and create those videos. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I will see you next video.